We are now joined by Jimmie Johnson, driver of the number 84 Toyota for Legacy Motor Club. We will go ahead right to questions. If you have one, please raise your hand and we'll get a mic over to you. We'll try to take as many questions as we can. We'll start with Bob.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. Jimmie, I'm curious, have you gotten a chance to look at Erik's car at all? I'm curious what what you thought about maybe how it handled in the accident, as well as, he came out of the care center quick and then went back. I'm curious if you have any concerns about the way that was handled.
No, I have not seen the car, and certainly not concerned with Erik's trip back to the care center. In my experience with crashes and injuries, it takes a little time for stuff to sink in. And I think Erik did the right thing to go back to the infield care center. Once he got to his bus, his environment changed a little bit, and he handled that very well. And I think the care center reacted perfectly, and there's really not much that could have been handled differently in that moment. I think everybody did a great job.
And what have you told Erik about when he should return?
It's really week by week basis, and there's a process that takes place with physicians and with NASCAR to be reinstated. So being a driver and a competitor and having injuries, I'd know where my head would be in trying to get in the car as soon as possible, and I would assume it's certainly a priority for Erik, and we want him back as quickly as we can, but as safely as possible. And as we run through the process each week, I would anticipate Erik's going to be eager. We go to physicians, we try to get approval from NASCAR, and we make sure that timing's right. So it's really tough to tell with an injury, as I'm sure you know with your experience in sports. We all wish we had the crystal ball and knew when someone could come back, but it really is a dynamic environment, and we'll go through all the right steps and make sure that Erik's truly ready when he gets back in the car. I think driving's one aspect of it, but then I think going through another significant impact and crash is something else that we just have to be mindful of.
We'll go in the middle to Jeff.
Jimmie, your comments at Texas about spending a lifetime driving off the right rear kind of got a lot of traction and got people talking about how different this car is and how challenging it is, to adapt to for a lot of people. As you've been in the sim for Dover, does it feel, different to you? Do you feel like you're going to find what you're looking for here?
No, I'm expecting it to be a much different environment than I had so much success with. You really have to drive this car with a lot of steering wheel input. Ride height, attitude, charging the diffuser. There's just a whole different, it's just a different mousetrap. It really is a different environment and a different feeling. I spun out at the Coke 600. I had some issues in Texas. Those are really my two only, proper oval experiences. And just the way the car responds, loses traction, turns around, it's just very, very different. And I now can remember watching the first half of the season when the next gen car came out, and I would see these spins and people turning around, and everybody's confusion then is just what I'm going through. So I just feel like it's it's just my turn to go through this adaptation period of the car and to try to understand it. And I'm making progress. I feel like running all the laps at Texas really taught me a lot. Not only from how to drive the car, but also improvements that we need to make and where we sit as a company right now. So I have to learn how to drive it off the right front. There's no doubt about it. That's what this car wants, and I was always a right rear guy.
We'll go in the middle to Dustin, and then right here in the front.
Dustin Albino, J-Ski. Kind of off that, Jimmie, how important was it to have this stretch of races where you are in the car more regularly between Texas, Dover, and the next week at Kansas?
Yeah, super helpful. Glad that our partners, stacked up this way. Glad there was flexibility. I was able to pick this race, and it fits in perfectly. So yeah, it's part of the plan to make sure that I can get reps on similar tracks. I know Dover's an outlier, but again, it falls in a great rhythm. I think Dover in the past for me, surprisingly car setup wise, always applied to Charlotte. I'm running the 600 later this year. Running both Kansas events was intentional so that I can continue to build reps and help my own advancement along with technology for the race team as well. So I think we have a good plan for this year. Last year, our plan was really to focus on road course racing. We felt that was something we needed help with. But as the year went on and the tragedy that me and my family went through, it obviously, everything was off the table at that point. So through the off season, we focused hard on mile and a halves and the performance that, gains that we hoped to improve, and thought that running a third car, at least 9 events and on basically mile and a half tracks would help us develop and further as an organization. Yep.
We'll come right down here and then over here to this camera on your right.
Hi, Jimmy. Adam Tropper, Motorsports Today. So with your 11 wins at Dover and just monumental success here over your career, is there any added confidence or motivation going into this weekend, even though you're with a new manufacturer, driving for your own team and with the next-gen car?
It's just so different. And I realized that quickly at Texas. I have a few wins at Texas, and that didn't carry in. And it's really on me. I mean, it's just such a different environment as a driver. And to spot this garage a 2-year head start and these drivers a 2-year head start on the little nuances that you need from the prep side on a Tuesday all the way through completion on Monday when you debrief and work through it all. It's just a lot of distance to make up. And first and foremost, I need to do my part and get in tune with this car. And I think through this stretch, I'll be able to do so.
And also, would you be able to speak on your mentorship role that you may have taken on with Erik and John Hunter? And if so, what would be the difference between that and your days at Hendrick when you had William, Chase, and Alex, all those younger drivers in back half of your Hendrick days?
Not being in the car as often and having so little next-gen experience, I can't be as detailed and nuanced as I was in my Hendrick days. But big picture, more from a 30,000-foot view, more from an organizational point of view, partner point of view, life experience. There are things there that I'm always available for and happy to help these guys with, and been very engaged with them both. I personally really hold them both in high regard. Professionally, same thing. So I'm really enjoying my time with both of them, and hope to be more of a help as I get more reps and can specifically talk about the next gen car.
Thank you. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
We'll come right here.
Hey, Jimmy. Matt Pensick, Coast TV News, NBC. Dovetailing on that last one, more specifically for Dover, is there a give and take between the drivers for your team tomorrow, them maybe helping you understand the next gen car and you helping them understand Dover a little bit?
No, the reason we run the third car, the reason I'm out here is to help our 2 primary cars. It is not for them to help me. So it's upon me to study, learn, ask the right questions, listen in. I don't want to take anything away from the 42 or 43 programs. I'm really here to help. And I'll be doing plenty of listening, just studying for this event with SMT and also driving the sim. It drives so much different than my last time here.
We'll come right down here to Derek.
Derek Forrest, CW. Jimmy, just wanted to talk about your success here, obviously 11 wins. What was your mindset each week knowing that you were coming to Dover, considering all the success you had?
Yeah, I tried not to carry too much confidence into any event, but it was just hard to hide my excitement to come here and drive. And I first ran here in ASA in the late 90s. And fell in love with the track. I mean, I hadn't been on an oval that scared me like being here. And, so it's kind of a mixed bag of emotions of the exhilaration of running a lap here combined with confidence and success that I've always enjoyed. Thankfully, in a cup car with Hendrick Motorsports and a relationship I had with Chad, we were able to truly dial in our car and build a car that just always showed up and performed here. So I try not to be overconfident because this garage area is so intelligent and so smart, and people were studying us and studying my approach here. And towards the end of my career, we didn't have the guaranteed win success, but we always ran really well. So it was nice to see that carry on. I wish that guaranteed me a great result for this weekend, but it's just a new environment, and I'll know a lot more in, I don't know, the 10 or 15 laps I get in practice, and then 2 more in qualifying. So I wish practice was a lot longer, at least 45 minutes. I think it would be, and yes, I am lobbying for more practice. I know that's been a conversation. I think it'd be beneficial for all.
We'll go right here to Stephen.
Steven Stump, frontstretch.com. Jimmie, you did talk about, wanting more practice at Texas as well, but since you got to run the full race there, was there like a stark difference between the first lap and the last lap in terms of what you're able to learn with this car and heading into this weekend as well?
Yeah, from what I experienced in the vehicle, great reps. I came a long way to understand the car. Unfortunately, the way the rules work, you make decisions a week in advance. Your car is set up, springs, shocks, nose weight, all the major pieces of the puzzle are in place. It goes into the transporter and it's off. We made a few small changes with air pressure and such during Saturday and Sunday at Texas, but that's all you can do. So it just puts so much pressure on unloading correct. And if we had a chance to change some springs in practice, had a longer session, and it was allowed to make, some more conceptual changes to the car, I think it would take the pressure off of and the expense off of all the other tools we now need to create and work with to unload so spot on. And that's the process that I think we're missing. I'd like at least one shot to change a spring, and especially from the era of racing that I ran in. Man, we'd tear the car completely apart overnight. I mean, suspension off, A-frame changes, geometry changes, nose weight. I mean, you name it. I mean, wholesale changes. And now it's just tire pressure and wedge.
All right, thank you.
Are there any final questions for Jimmie? We'll take one last one in the back from Bob.
Bob Hockers, Fox Sports. As long as Erik is out, is Corey the driver, or would you get into any of those races that you're currently not scheduled for?
Next weekend I'm planning. I'm in the car in Kansas, so we really haven't looked very far down the road and kind of taken it week by week. But at Kansas for sure, it would be Corey and not me.